Claire, can you hear me?
Yes.
Julie, Andrew? There you guys are. Kayla? All right, Hallie, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. Molly, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, let's see. What do you guys see when you, do you see anything?
Yeah, I can see your paper.
That's what you guys can see? Awesome.
We should be.
And you guys can't see each other though, right?
No, not unless we turn that on.
Okay. And what I'm going to try to do, and I have no idea right now, because you're screen sharing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I know yesterday I watched a couple teachers trying to do this. I know that the students, and it frustrated two of the teachers tremendously. I know you guys won't necessarily have hopefully that issue. But I think the issue is the students were messing around. At least that's my observation. All right.
To those that can't hear anything, everyone swipe.
So Laura can't hear anything. Are we thinking it's the audio thing at the beginning that she didn't click on?
For me, I had to go to the swipe all the way left to the driving safe mode thing. Try to speak myself, and then it let me hear you. I don't know.
I saw a thing in the bottom left corner that says join audio. You have to click that and click join by computer. That's what I did.
Okay, bottom left corner said join with audio. That might help. Oh, Laura can hear everybody now. If you can't hear chat, I know when I click on chat, it comes up on the side, so then we can hear each other. You guys can mute and unmute yourself. Emma is having trouble getting in. Do we have any idea what that might be?
Are you doing it through Chrome?
That might be an issue too. If she's not in Chrome, that could be an issue. And I knew today would be more of a people just getting accustomed to it. I don't know why initially, because I know Joe had emailed me and I don't know who else had commented. But I had joined the meeting prior to 9:30 in case anybody else showed up. And then for whatever reason, it was, it asked me if I wanted to join the meeting I set up. So I don't know what that was. It is recorded. So if for some reason there's an issue, please make sure that we do know that we can go back and view it. So what is everybody looking at right now?
Your paper.
Okay, my paper.
The paper, yes.
All right, I just wanted to make sure because I know I'm looking at Sid's picture, so I have no idea. And is it clear from what you can see?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
it's fine.
All right,
looks
I just
like a
want
lot
to
of
make sure that
paper.
it's big enough, and I'm not sure again how you see and what I see. This is all very new. You guys let me know now that we're in real time and you guys can kind of talk freely when you unmute. Is there any questions as to what is due, what is required, what isn't required? what my expectations are. Do you just want me to talk about it instead of reading it? Because apparently for my other classes, the reading part seems to be getting, the translation apparently is getting mixed up somehow. So you tell me what you want before we get started.
Yeah, is the only thing that's due is the no read thing later.
Correct. As of right now, everything else that I have provided is strictly practice. I know that it almost, for some may feel like you're inundated with a lot of stuff, but I'm not there in the classroom to answer random questions that just come up on a whim and then we can talk about it. So I wanted to make sure that you have old questions, new questions, just an abundance of worked out problems that you don't have to go and search the web yourself for. They're right there in front of you. So I tried to do that. None of those are required. And that's why I just keep saying practice them as you would want. So right now, the only thing that is required are the no reassignments. And honestly, on my end, what I see is your completion. And for the majority of everybody I'm looking at, they're all like 90-some%. I've only seen one, and it wasn't your class. It was a geometry class where it was in the 70s. And all that means is that was the score when everything was said and done. So far, anybody who has done a no reassignment has received full credit. And as soon as what ends up happening from my end, as soon as I start recording those grades, they'll go in as full credit. So that's nothing you guys need to worry about with the no re. It's honestly, I would say, at least for me, it's me making sure you're still doing your part on your end. Otherwise, what you'll get probably, today's Wednesday, probably Friday, I'm going to have a written assignment that you can, I would probably say, take a picture of and send back to me when everything is finished. And you'll still have next week to ask questions on that. And it's essentially a test prep, and then you'll have a test. So the no reassignments are preparation for your test. The assignment I'll give you on Friday is kind of prep for your test, and then you'll end up with your test next week. And you'll have days off from me unless you want to meet and then and ask questions. But otherwise, there won't be anything new. You guys will just work on those days on completing your test and your assignment. So as of Friday, we'll be almost done with the chapter.
Okay. How are we handling the test?
Well, it was a very lengthy discussion. Mr. Colahan and I, having both honors classes, have agreed that what we're looking at is no question will be graded without work shown. We also know that you have a very high probability of scoring very well on this test, on any of the assignments, truthfully. So without going too elaborate, I don't want to elaborate too much, but what we're looking at is, as long as you have shown your work that proves your answer for every answer, that's what gets graded. If work has not been provided and somehow the right answer appears on the test, it automatically is wrong. Does that make sense without going too far into what I'm suggesting?
Yep.
Okay. And honestly, we all know that what we're trying to do here is just learn, not stress. And that's why I think we could all agree, I've limited the amount of work that I normally would have given. I just don't want us to stop practicing, and math, again, is such a weird beast when it comes to that. We've even talked about how to do what's called depth of knowledge lesson, which just means using this material. This chapter is very difficult to do that. Algebra 2 is it's a middle ground for how it actually would work in the real world. So, any other questions? Good. I'm glad we're Zooming. It's about as real time as the live stream. I feel that 20-second delay is still there. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks.
We just have to go unmuted every time. That's all we
I understand.
That's good.
Does anybody have an objection to me setting up the meetings next time where you're capable of having full volume and then just mute and unmute yourself as you wish? I only had everything muted because I didn't want us talking over each other. That makes me, I think it could be a little overwhelming, but that's your choice. And the video part, I'm a little, it'd be nice to see all of your lovely faces. My fear is 9:30 in the morning is a little early for some of you. And I would not want you to be anywhere inappropriate that in 2020 a teacher should not see the background of your bedroom or anywhere else that would cause any issues. So with this being recorded and then later posted, you would have to, if you had video, be seated in a spot where it would not compromise anything. So you guys can always email me your feedback or discuss it now if you wish. But I'm up for doing this as long as it seems to work once or twice a week, depending upon what you would want.
I know that we're gonna have to. I know like you and other teachers are planning things at 9:30, which is the fear. Like Griff wants to do something Friday on Zoom 9:30. So I don't know.
And I will say, not to sound silly, but when this all kind of unfortunately started, Harris, Colahan, and I were the only ones doing anything live stream or otherwise, and had made sure that we put our times in. So I apologize for anything overlapping. We can always set one day a week, and then, you know, I can add that to the shared document that the teachers share, just so that they are aware that we have scheduled at least, you know, like Wednesdays or Tuesdays or whatever seems best for you guys. You can always let me know what you think is best. So
Sounds good.
Anything else from anyone? All right. Please chime in if you have anything. I don't have a problem with that. Right now, the only thing that I have is I do want to end the chapter with solving rational equations, with a problem that you actually, I mentioned the last problem in the no reassignment was a word problem. And it is something that we are going to revisit, because there's actually things called mixture problems and distance problems and work problems. And of course, those distance problems are the ones that get made fun of a lot in all the sitcoms, where they talk about train coming from one city and a train going from the other city. When are they going to collide? That type of thing. So that's actually in this section. So I have up here, hopefully you've all been able to guess what I'm talking about or who I'm talking about. But I was trying to think of something realistic, and I thought of Dairy Dock, and that would be nice to be able to visit Dairy Dock sooner rather than later. So Emily got to be part of my word problem today. And she has a 10 ounces of a 50% cherry syrup juice. How much of a 15% lime syrup juice must she add to create a 40% syrup? And one of my favorite flavors is cherry lime. So I thought, why not? And it's very similar to the one at the end of your section, but it's the steps that I think are most important, and then it can carry over to every problem. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is to almost set this up the way percentages are supposed to set up. What do you have out of the total? That's how probability works. So what we want is to talk about what was the original amount that was started with. So in this case, we started with 10 ounces of a 50% solution. So this 50% has to be changed to that usable number and we started with those 10 ounces. Then what we want to do is we want to figure out how much are we trying to add. So what we're also then going to do is what was added. And what we added was 15% of a lime syrup, but we don't know how much that is, so we name that X. And at the end here, what we're going to do is figure out what that new result is, what the new solution is. So we're going to add those together. And we end up with 0.50 times 10 plus 0.15x. And I get 0.5, 0.50 is the same thing, but I just, for note purposes, want to make sure that we're looking at the numbers that are in the word problem. So again, we started with the original amount of 10 ounces, knowing that it was 50%. We wanted that 15% of our unknown and then our new result. So all of this is the syrups. This is what we want with all of our syrups. Now, in the bottom here, what we're looking at is what are the totals that we know for sure. Well, the totals that we know is that we know we had an original 10 that we started with. We also know that our total lime juice is X. So we also know that we're going to take that 10 ounces and add it with our X ounces. So this is actually the milliliters or the ounces. Notice I'm giving you some hints. The ounces that we're dealing with. So when we set up kind of like probability, what we want over the total, we're going to set up this equation so that it's our new result, the 0.50 times 10 plus 0.15x over the total 10 plus x. So it is just like probability from the beginning, what we want over the total. Ooh, that sun is making things not nice. I'm sorry. Now, what we're looking for is this 40%. So the 40% is this guy right here. So I need to make sure whatever I turn this into has to be this 40%. So what I'm going to set this equal to is my 40%, 40 out of 100. So 40% is what we want. And don't forget, 40% is that 0.40, which is that 40 over 100. So we want to keep that in mind. I'm going to try to close my curtains a little bit. That helped a little. Sorry about that. And now we essentially cross multiply and solve. So at this point, this is now just a proportion. You could, again, just like we did in this chapter, find our common denominator. Really, there's no reason to do this. They have it in this section because of our binomial in the bottom and having to deal with that. But as long as we just cross multiply, you really don't have to worry about doing our rational expressions. So we're going to cross multiply that 100 with our 10x and our 100 with the 50 times 10 plus 0.15x and the 40. So we end up with 400 plus 40x equals 500 plus 15x. Bring over the 15, that's 25x. Bring over the 400, we're left with 100. And we end up figuring out that x is 4. So Emily would add 4 ounces of the lime syrup. And that's the 15% lime syrup. Every problem is done exactly the same. What do you have as your original? And that's always going to be where they're going to have it in the same sentence. So if you see ounces and a percentage, or liters and a percentage, or milliliters and a percentage, or milligrams, whatever it is, as long as you have that all in one sentence, that's at least the original. The how much of, and you have a percentage without anything given with a total, that's how much is added, and then your result is put them together. So this is added into, so picture them pouring them into the same container. Down here is just the totals. All of this is going to be, in this case, those ounces that we're talking about. That's going to be the dead giveaway. It has nothing to do with the percentage. So the top is always dealing with your percentages. The second one is just dealing with the actual amount. And then you set up what will look like a proportion. Any questions?
No, I think I'm good on this.
Do you want to see another example? Do you just want me to load the examples to the classroom and then let you guys finish on your no reassignment? Do you have other questions from either my practice problems or the no reassignment? It is entirely your class right now.
I think what would help me is if we did like a small review on the other stuff that we've done the last like 3 days.
That is fine. I can, if there's any particular questions that you have.
I can look.
Does anybody else have one? Or what I can do is look to see. I wonder if I could share. Let's try this. I'm going to go to the book. Maybe. There we go. And I'm going to go to the chapter review for right now. That'll at least give us some glance at maybe what we could use here. And come on, I think it's moving slow because I've got so much running. Let's go to the practice test. And then maybe it'll let me share this screen.
I'd like to particularly run through some of the 8-6 stuff.
All right.
From yesterday, or was that yesterday?
Yes.
2 days ago. Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's see here as I zoom in. Whoa. And I'm going to see if I can share this screen instead. Share screen.
Whoa.
Are you able to see now the book?
Yeah, we're seeing
Yes.
your computer screen now.
Awesome. Okay. So if that's the case,
You can see both screens.
do you really?
Yeah, you can switch between them.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, hello.
And like draw on your screen too. My bad.
You guys know more than I do, obviously, right now. Are there any questions, at least on that?
Yeah, how do you do example 8?
So example 8 is what you're looking at.
Like if we didn't have the answer.
Okay.
Is-
Well, I know yesterday you had made the comment about having an issue with like where we were coming up with the common denominators. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Would you be comfortable doing a problem like 47 or 48 or 46? Would that answer the question, or just stick with example 8?
Yeah, we could do one of those instead.
Okay, so I'm going to look at 47 for right now, and I'm just going to copy it down. Okay, and I am going to, I don't know. Don't know where my hover cam went. Can you see my hover cam now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
We could see it even before, like while you're still on your.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, there's like a second smaller screen in the corner that we can click on.
Oh, I see. Okay. Again, I know very little about when this all gets worked in. So the first thing, Sid, that we've got to do when we're trying to figure out what the common denominator is factor all of these so that we know what we're looking at in the denominator. In the first one here, this is the difference of two squares. And in the other one, we have x minus 3 and x plus 1, so that I end up with the -2 in the middle, but the -3 on the outside. Now the tops aren't going to change any. At least I hope I copied that correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yep. All right. And so now what I'm looking at is I have in the denominators already, in both of them, I already have the x minus 3's. What I don't have in both of them is an x plus 3 and an x plus 1. So when we do our LCM, or our common denominator from the past, we just didn't try to pick any denominator. We tried to pick the least common denominator, so we didn't have to do a bunch of simplifying at the end. So when I choose my LCM, I only need to pick one of these because they both already have it. And then each one of these has to also get involved. So when I do rewrite this to distribute the common denominator, I'm going to need an x minus 3. I'm going to need an x plus 3. But I'm also going to need this x plus 1 because all of it needs to be included. I just don't repeat what I already have. So I don't have to write the x minus 3 twice because it's already in both of them. What I have to account for is then everything else. So when we started this whole LCM idea, it was what do we have and like what's in common and what's left over has to get involved. So even if I was looking at just the numbers 12 and 15, like they were in the denominator, if I factored 15 into its primes, it's 3 and 5. If I factor 12 into its primes, it's 3 times 4. When I talk about the LCM, since they both share a 3, I only need to bring that in once, but then I need to also look at the 4 and the 5. So if I wanted a common denominator between 15 and 12, it would be 60. So that's why here it's the same idea. We only need to worry about that once. Now, when I distribute, this guy's going to cancel. This guy's going to cancel, but it leaves me with 2 times x plus 1. When I distribute to this one, this guy's going to cancel. This guy at x plus 1 is going to cancel, and it leaves me with 3 times x plus 3. So now when I distribute, I can finish the problem and then solve. So that's where we ended up with that -7 is going to equal x. And if I plugged it back in, I don't have to worry about the domain having any errors. That's already going to come into play, and I don't have to worry about it not working because it will then set them equal and the ratios will be equal to each other.
Will the denominator ever like not have the parenthesis problems? Like, for example,
No,
like
at this
108
point
is
for
x minus 3 and like 8.
for us, they're going to always have you at least at some point deal with those denominators that way. We're not going to have anything as easy as just 7 over 15 plus 8 plus 5 over 12. It's
Okay.
not going to have just a monomial denominator. Anybody else have any questions? I know you guys got to unmute if you want to talk. Julie, I'm going to unmute you. Do you have any questions or concerns that you would like me to address? Is Julie there? Julie might not be able to talk. I don't know. Anybody else have anything to share? Anybody else have anything to share?
No.
No? I feel bad, Mike. I left
Why do you feel bad?
I left Don to survive by himself in that room.
What?
Yes, he is still there. He's gonna.
Yeah, cupcakes. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm hoping that he'll survive on the snacks that I hid in the cabinet.
I'm pretty sure he'll be fine. He hunts humans anyways.
So yeah, Cap, you think
I
we
have
could,
Mini
have a-
Don on my drawer in my room.
Oh,
I
well,
still have
good.
Mini Don. So
There
yeah,
you go.
yep.
Awesome. All right. Anybody else have any issues? All right, guys, if there's nothing else, we will end for the day. I'm hoping you can let me know privately. Just send me an email. Just maybe I'll even figure out how to do a form and ask if you prefer only going live stream. I know that I will say it's a lot nicer to have immediate response. Well, when there is immediate response. And I do know that somebody said, and I can't remember whose classroom comment it was, but Mrs. Reaney said that she had already contacted the tech guys if there was an audio issue to make sure that that's fixed. So maybe that'll fix some things here in the future. But it is nice to at least have immediate capabilities, not waiting that 20-second delay, because I'm certain it's frustrating at your end. It is ridiculously frustrating at my end. So if that's it, then I will talk to you guys again on either tomorrow or Friday. We'll see. So pay attention to classroom and have a great day, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.